Welcome to the Speak with People podcast, where we believe that healthy communication is the key to unlocking your leadership potential. We are the go-to resource for leaders looking to greatly improve their communication skills, whether it's one-on-one interactions, team settings, public speaking, or digital communication. By improving these skills, leaders can create stronger connections and drive positive change within their organizations. Each and every episode, we sit down with experts from various fields from around the world, just like you're grabbing a coffee with them, to dive into real, practical conversations. Our goal is to help you transform your communication skills so you can lead more effectively, build stronger relationships, and make a lasting impact. So go grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's learn together. Well, how do you reignite your team's energy when everyone is showing up, but no one's really in it? Have you been there? I'm sure you have, because I have, and we can all relate around that. Maybe you've looked around the table and thought, maybe we're hitting our goals, maybe we're close, but something just feels off. Well, this episode is for you. Today on the Speak with People podcast, I'm joined by Jen Gomez. She's a leadership strategist, a keynote speaker, and the creator of the Joy Method, and which is why when I came across her LinkedIn profile, I immediately reached out, because as I started reading the content, I thought this is someone I need to interview. We are blessed to have 10 to 20 different interview requests a week. And it's not often that I'm reaching out, and I just could not be more pleased that she said yes. She helps high performers, leadership teams move beyond burnout, back into connection, purpose, and yes, joy. So you're about to hear how joy isn't just an emotion, it's your secret leadership advantage. Welcome, and thank you for being on the Speak with People podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone listening. It is honestly a joy to be here, and I'm so glad we were able to work this out with our schedules. It is such an interesting world that we live in, and it is apparent now more than ever how joy needs to be the top topic of conversation. You see purpose a lot, but nobody's really talking a lot about joy, and so I'm here to change that.
Wow. Wow. I love that. What a, whew. I give leaders a hard time pretty frequently, because many of us aren't prepared to share our like 30-second, I hate the phrase elevator pitch, but just who you are, what you do. We walk up to somebody and say, well, I'm a tax accountant. No, you save people thousands of dollars. How you just phrase that is just beautiful. I love that. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Thank you. Well, and I think that joy can be tied to saving people thousands of dollars too, right? It's not just about your emotional connection, but
True.
how much money are you losing every single day because your people are quietly quitting? So
Right.
let's turn the needle here, people. Let's really identify the elephant in the room.
I love it. Well, let's before we hop into the conversation, let's maybe poke into your story a little bit. Who you are, what you do, what got you to this place.
Yeah, yeah. So I have always been curious about people. So much so that I actually became an actor when I was in third grade. I loved watching people watch me. I loved developing characters and understanding the psychology of, maybe not in the third grade, but as I got older, understanding the psychology beyond the character. If you or anyone out there has ever studied stage acting or the art of acting, it's really understanding people and how they operate. And you do this character development, which is really fascinating. I mean, you are designing what makes this person tick so that you can, without even saying a word, emote what this character might be thinking or feeling, or how they're moving. And so, from a very young age, I just had this curiosity of people and how we work and how we operate. And then I got into the workforce. I was in leadership pretty young, in my young 20s, straight out of college, because of course, when your dad says, but what's your plan B, Jen? You're like, well, I guess it's not to be an actor. So I went into leadership pretty quickly. I think because I had this curiosity of people, I was able to read a room. I was able to understand how people operated in a way that not many people do, And I could do a whole TED talk on how theater majors are going to be this wave of influence for the business world and economy. But anyway, because we just have these gifts that not a lot of people have or realize. And I don't think that most actors even realize it, honestly. But my point is, so I got into leadership pretty young, and I just felt angry with the fact that all of these leaders were leading so poorly. I was like, I could do a better job than this. Like, what is wrong with these people? But I just stayed in my lane and I kept growing. And I honestly got a little hungry for growth. I was like, well, if I'm going to raise in leadership, like, let's see how much further I can go. And so then I started to challenge, what can I do within an organization without overstepping, but to help shift this organization, to help mold this organization. And in 2012, my husband and I got married. We actually were both actors, and we met in college years and years ago. And 2012, we got married. We moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I remember standing here in Baton Rouge and being like, something about this city, I am going to something big's going to happen here, because it's a tiny, large town, and we
Mm-hmm.
had moved to LA. I did not mention that part. So we lived in LA for years, and moved to the other LA,
Right.
Louisiana, and I was like, I have a real opportunity here, right? So again, I've always just had this ambition, but it was kind of this loose ambition. Like, where is this funneling? Where is this going? So then I started just meeting with all of these heavy hitters in the city, meeting with different big players. And before you know it, I get a call. I'm sitting there, working my job. I had this whole goal about like working for the management company that my job was managed under. And I was like, I'm going to be the operations person. I'm going to help these teams thrive. And then I get a call from the governor's office here in Louisiana. And they said, Ben, are you interested in working for the first lady of Louisiana? And I almost fell out of my chair because I had only been here for 5 years. But it was because of that intentional connecting, that joyful leadership, and we'll go into this a little bit more later, but I'm sure, but it was because of all of these steps that I had taken that I was like, this is why I'm getting this opportunity here. And so I was like, yes, I am interested. And so I ended up working for her for 6 years out of their 8-year term. And it was incredible. It was, if anyone listening has ever worked for an executive office, it is the hardest,
Mm.
craziest, but most rewarding job you'll ever have, because no matter how hard it is, no matter how much you like go to work and totally black out, and then you come to at the end of the day, you're like, I have no idea what just happened, you still show up the next day because you feel so grateful for that opportunity. It's
Wow.
almost purpose driven, right? So you ask how I've gotten to where I am today. Long story long, 7 layers deep. This is all important of joyful leadership as well, but it's that moment when I found myself at that crossroads with no job, 2 kids, breadwinner of the house. I was like, this is an opportunity.
Wow.
This is an opportunity to do something that I have known that I need to do my entire life, but I was too scared to admit it.
Mm.
Because people said, you can't be a consultant. You're 25. You can't be a coach. You don't have a coaching degree. You can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't. And so that was the opportunity. I said, I will. I will. And so I started my business in fall of 2023 and just dove into the deep end, started coaching people immediately, taking consulting contracts. It was incredible the first year. And now, I mean, I've brought on staff at this point. It's been the most incredible journey, Jason, that I'm so glad that I didn't listen to everybody, or rather used it as fuel to say, watch me.
Right. Right.
I need to go help people, because I've seen it my entire career, not only as someone under leadership, but also as a leader myself. because as I left leadership, I mean, I was managing 30 plus people. I also had a secondary job where I was coaching women as well, through another company, and I was like, the writing is on the wall, and I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm going after it, and everyone was like, I am so glad that you did this. So it's been a crazy couple years.
Wow. Wow. It was a great tie-in the story loop when you finished with "Watch Me," because as you talked about from the beginning as an actor, people watching you. Boy, I love that. That is, you said so many profound things there already just in the introduction. But I just can't help throughout so many of these interviews, the theme that comes up with oftentimes with leaders who really do want to amplify their influence is just being curious. And
Yep.
I love that you talked about that because do you think anybody can be curious? Is it a gift that some people have that aren't? Is it a muscle that you have to learn how to work? What do you think about curiosity?
Hmm. I think about curiosity and being inquisitive as kind of somebody who tinkers, but I think everybody has it. I think everybody is, probably different scales, different levels. I think it ties back to honestly childhood and how much fear and maybe guilt or shame you hold.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I've,
Wow.
yeah, I've been, every single leader that I work with, we go straight into their childhood. Because when I think about joyful leadership, I really think about the process of entanglement. And so I think that you
Wow.
possibly lose your curiosity as you get older because you're losing yourself as you get older. And so we think about
Wow.
being a child. Like, go back, Jason, go back to when you were a kid, or even watching your kids grow up. When they're 3, 4, 5, and I'm not talking about like the crying tantrums. I'm talking about those moments of pure joy and curiosity, and it's like they radiate. You know those moments that I'm talking about,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And then they get older and you start to see some of that fade a little bit. But you're like, no, no, no. Like, let's go to Disney. Let's go do these things just so you can watch their curiosity. Or maybe it's not even a trip. Maybe it's just taking them outside and like watching them watch ants. That curiosity, the tinkering, like it is our job as parents to mentor our children to engage in the curiosity so that we will continue to be curious as we grow up and have all of these fears and all of these people tell us, no, you can't. And all of this comparison happen to us. It's like, you've got to go back to what you felt as a kid before all of the heavy, what I call backpack weight, came
Yes.
onto you as an adult. And if you can tap into that, then that curiosity can start to grow again.
Wow.
And you can start seeing, okay, I work with so many people that, Jason, it's wild. They're like, well, 50, that's it. Even at their 30s, they're like, well, I got a job, I went to school, this is the job that I'm going to have forever.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I'm like, you have an entire second half of your life left. So if anything, I think people need permission to be curious.
Wow. Wow. So speaking of curiosity, now that you've lived in Louisiana for a bunch of years, does everybody in Louisiana have to eat jambalaya? Is that just like a
Well, it's not forced depending on the family. But and it also depends who makes it. One time, gosh, Jason, one time I was at a house party when I was in college. And when I say house party, I'm not talking about like a this is all college kids. I'm talking about like mama throws a party and like all the relatives are coming. This is like a big family gathering, and they make jambalaya, and I'm eating it, and something hard. I bite on something like it's not right. And I
Right.
and I and I took it out. I said, "What did I just chew on?" They said, "Oh, that's a BB." It was a BB from the squirrel that they had shot and put it. I said, "I am eating squirrel jambalaya." I could not. I was like, "Well, I guess I'm in Louisiana."
Yeah. You did not experience that in the other LA.
No, 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 no. If anything, there's just, it's a whole other world in LA. I mean,
Yeah.
food wise, Los Angeles it was incredible. We are a little bit like another Cajun restaurant is being put down the road. Okay, another Cajun restaurant's being put down the road. So we do a lot of cooking at home, and we do make jambalaya. We make a gumbo every year. I am so proud of my gumbo as like somebody who did not grow up in Louisiana. I get my little gumbo book. It is called the Little Gumbo Book, and I make it every year, and everyone loves it. I'm like, that's right, that's right. You're non-Louisiana girl starting to become a Louisianian. But my husband is from here, so
Okay.
yeah. So we have family here,
Yep.
and it really is. I think it's when you think about I just asked Dr. Henry Cloud if you're familiar with him a few months ago. I said, "How do you stay true to your North Star?" And he said, "It's who you surround yourself with.
Mm.
Your people are your North Star." And sometimes those people can be family. Sometimes those people might be mentors. Sometimes those people might be coaches or leaders. But if there is ever somebody that you don't feel completely motivated, encouraged, and joyful around, then it's time to start having a really deep conversation with yourself of what are we doing here? I call
Wow.
this duplicate or dissolve. Do
Mm.
you want to duplicate or do you want to dissolve some of the things that so when we talk about joyful alignment, I talk a lot about that with my coaching clients. We talk about what do we need to duplicate and what do we need to dissolve
Wow.
because you have
Wow.
one life.
Right. Right. I, you beat me to it because in doing some research for this episode, I saw the post about Dr. Henry Cloud, and I was like, oh man, what an amazing opportunity. He's just next level.
Yeah, he was. I had an opportunity to meet him as well as some other really heavy hitters a few months ago at this event called the Factor Forum. And whoever's listening right now, I want to encourage you something. I want to encourage you with something that it certainly nobody told me this, but it has changed my life. And it is get in the room.
Mm.
Get in the room. There was there was this VIP room that I did not pay for. Okay, Jason, I did not pay for this. And I just walked in like I did. I did. I was like, well, all they have to do is tell me to leave. And they didn't. And then I looked at that as an opportunity. I was like, I have all these incredible minds right in front of me. So I got up on that microphone, started asking questions, and then they recorded it and just put it on his.
Oh wow, amazing! I
Well, it
love
was
that.
so I am not encouraging you to do nefarious activity, but I am encouraging you if it's not going to hurt anyone,
That's
just,
right.
see if you can be in the room.
I
Be in the
love
room
that.
as much as you can, whether you pay or don't.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Take us back. So you've developed the joy method. Uh, lots of leadership tools out there. How is this one? Maybe not so much different, but exactly how does a leader employ this? In their leadership and their team moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's super simple. I wanted to create something that helped me, helped my teams, helped the leaders that I helped mentor without really realizing that I was mentoring them. And I just think back to Mel Robbins, 5 4 3 2 1.
Mm.
Let them, or Jamie Kern Lima, worthy. You think about these simple things because at the end of the day, we as humans, for us to actually make a change, we have to have something that's duplicatable, something that's easy to become a habit. And so it's 3 words. And you can use this in any situation: reflect, align, commit.
Mm.
If you're having a team issue, I have a team, for example, who their culture is just destroyed. All of these little pods are starting to happen. So we need to get curious and not critical. Why is this happening? This is that reflect. What is happening within the team? What is happening within the organization? Who is the toxin? And then once we've found that, we need to align with mission statement, purpose. Why are my people unhappy? Why are they doing pods? Let's get that realigned. And a lot of times that starts with the top.
Yeah.
Most time. Most time. Which then I use this 3-step method to reflect on who they are, realign with what their legacy wants to be. And then that third step is actually committing to the plan of action.
Mm.
Committing to what you want your team to be. This one office in particular, the owner, there's 2 things that he said to me. He said, I don't want to fire anyone. And I don't like crucial conversations. I don't like direct conversations. And I think about Brene Brown, where she said, clear is kind. So if you don't want to have a direct conversation with someone to say, you are no longer part of this organization, then you will continue to have these issues. So if you're not willing to commit to what needs to be done to have the organization thrive again, then it's just going to continue to sink. So whether it's in an office setting, personally, professionally, reflect on where you've been, where you're at now, where you want to go. Align yourself with that and fully commit to what needs to happen to get it done.
Boy, that's so
This
good.
has been used time after time after time after time again, and it works every single time. Every single time, because it really, here's the thing, it goes back to what I said before. It's that process of an untanglement,
Yep.
right? We're untangling all of this web. And when we get to the opportunity to say, okay, here's where all of these issues are, now we can start to duplicate or dissolve what needs to happen. But not until we finally put the mirror on the problem can we start to make change. And
Yeah.
people don't love change, but as my one of my dear professors, I went back to school later in life and got an MBA from LSU. Go Tigers! And he said when you're in business, he was particularly talking about the rapid change in technology. But he said, when you're in business and you see things changing around you, you change or die.
Mm.
And so I tell my clients that a lot. I'm like, do you want to change or die? I mean, not literally, but
Yeah.
figuratively, like you either change or your company will continue to drown. And so what do you want to commit to?
Wow.
And that's another thing. A lot of people, they just need that permission to get curious and not be so critical on their people, on the problems. I like to say this. This is going to be a good one for you to write down, Jason. You ready for this one? Be an architect and not a firefighter.
Oh,
Do you want to sit there and put out fires every single day? Or do you want to build what the future looks like?
wow. Wow. Yeah, the changes. What a fascinating topic in itself. I Yesterday I'm in a room with about 50 financial advisors, and you talk about an industry that's, as you look forward, Gen Z's already using ChatGPT to talk about wealth and, all of those different kind of things. And a lot of times in the rooms that I'm in, it's 50 plus. I'll be 50 in a couple months. And I can say, as an almost 50-year-old, it is hard to change because, especially, when I walk into the rooms, I'm trying to get them to disrupt their communication. You've been speaking this way to clients. Maybe you need to speak this way and see what could happen. And just trying to, like, get their attention enough to go, wait a minute, let's look inward. And here's some changes you can make. Why do you think, I mean, you've worked with tons of leaders, you've been around great organizations. Why does it seem like sometimes it's a natural progression for us? The older we get, the longer we've been doing the same thing, change just seems like a distant, nice thought in the way yonder over there.
Yeah, yeah. I Change is so peculiar because there's a lot that we can unpack here. So I'm going to try to keep it try to keep it short.
Mm,
But number one, people change every single day.
mm.
Think about it. Did you change your shirt this morning? Did you change lanes the last time that you drove? Did you change your mind when you maybe thought that you wanted to go to dinner here, but now we're changing it to this place? So people change every single day, all
So
day,
good.
every day.
Yeah.
But it's when they're being forced to change that you feel the disruption.
Yep.
So it's not about the change itself, it's how you implement the change, it's how you communicate the change, it's how you make it an opportunity to change together. It's how you openly and authentically say, we're going to go to this next chapter. Are we in? Are we not? And let's talk about that. That transparency is huge. I often talk about joyful moments. And I know that some people on the line are like, joy. Somebody literally during a keynote said, I'll be a lot more joyful when this is over. So I get it.
Been
I
there.
get it.
I get
I
it.
get it. But hear me out. When you meet somebody and there's an instant connection, what happens? You want to keep talking to them, right?
Right.
If you don't have that joyful moment, there is no opportunity for trust, which means there's no opportunity for collaboration, which means there's no opportunity for impact. It all goes back into that initial moment. So, whatever you're bringing to the table, and I see this over and over and over again, these people who are implementing change, they do not care about their people. Maybe they do, but not to the level that we really need to. Because change is hard and nobody likes to be told, Jason, you're not wearing that Speak with People shirt today. You're wearing a bright blue, neon green striped shirt. And I don't care what you have to say about it. You're like, no, I don't want to do this. Now you change your shirt every day, but now somebody's telling you what to wear instead of selling it.
Yeah.
Jason, I got this great idea. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I know you wear this Speak with People shirt every day, but I've got this really great opportunity. I think it's going to enhance your brand. I know your personal mission is to connect with more people. What are your thoughts about giving this shirt a try? How about you try it for 30 days? Give me your feedback. If you don't like it, we can make some changes. Do you see how different that is? And so one leader in particular I'm working with, he's like, "Oh, so you're telling me to baby my people?" No,
Mm.
I'm not telling you to baby your people, which that comment in and of itself, I'm like, okay, let's go back. Let's go back, because there's that defensive sarcasm
Yep.
that needs to be impacted in and of itself. But so, by the end of coaching with me, you either love me or you hate me. Let's just put, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That we're trying to build people to be better, build better teams. But at the end of that opportunity, you're not babying your people. You're bringing them along with you, and that's how you build legacy.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Boy, I love that. Where, especially for teams where maybe the joy has died out, a little bit, new leader comes in, team members have maybe, heard all the stuff in the past. What are some ways that the new leader can reignite some of that joy, use communication to kind of, get that fire back going?
Mm, listen, keep your mouth shut 30 days at least, and just listen. Listen to what the pain points are. Listen to what happened in the past. This is not about you, but it starts with you.
Mm.
We oftentimes, especially when we are in a new position, we want to show our feathers. We want to show what we've got. We're like, I'm going to implement, this is my 90-day change. This is everything that's going to happen. And we, as the people underneath, are like, who the hell is this person? They don't know anything about our organization. They
Yep.
read an ad and applied and had one interview, and now they're here coming to implement change. And what happens? The change fails, or people get upset and they leave. Just listen. Listen and take your plan and see how you can mold it in with the culture that's already going on. See who you need to start
Wow.
duplicating and see who you need to start dissolving. You're going to have to trim the fat. Like, it is just, it's part of it. There are just some people that you cannot help. And I have been one of those people. I have literally been one of those people who was so miserable in a role that I said, okay, I'm going to give this 6 more months. And if I am still this miserable, then I need to go.
Mm.
I know I need to go, because I'm not doing anyone any favors here. I think that what's happening too, Jason, and I'd love to hear your side of this, but we had the baby boomer generation. It was the largest generation of all time, and those are now the leaders, and they have stayed in the leadership realm for quite some time. And so what's happening is they're starting to retire, and there's not a lot of people that are groomed to come into their place, because they may have held these positions for the past 20 years.
Yep.
And so now you've got some really interesting leadership quagmires happening, where you've got people getting into roles that they're not quite ready for because maybe they weren't quite mentored. Like, there's this massive opportunity for succession planning that I think not a lot of people are paying mind to. But I think
Wow.
these younger people may be getting into these higher level positions. And what I see over and over and over again is, again, they're like, all right, little insecure, little scared. And the right thing to do would be to stop, listen, understand. Gosh, I'm really not ready for this, but I'm really glad I got this opportunity. I need to surround myself with people that know more than I do so that we can really thrive here.
Yeah.
Instead of what you see, which is overcompensation, fear led leadership, lack of communicating, people crying in the bathrooms because their boss was mean to them, people doom scrolling on their phones because they have no clear communication. So if you're out there listening and you are part of this older generation and have not started looking at succession planning, that's probably the best gift that you could leave.
Wow. Yeah, it's such a fascinating world with the four generations working together, sometimes five generations. And, it's really interesting. I was in a room Tuesday with 20 branch managers from a bank, and I started talking about this, and they just erupted with kind of, if any of you are listening, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but you kind of erupted with pointing fingers at Gen Z and, you know, just talked about how they can't communicate, they don't look people in the eye, a lot of those kind of things. And so yeah, it's so fascinating to think about, our workforce is going to be flooded even more so with the generation below them. And so, I love the idea about succession planning so much, but even what are some things we can do to help lead those younger generations who look at us older ones and go, why are you calling me on the phone? Why do I have to be, I'm doing a training for a law firm in 2 weeks, and they just want it for their frontline staff because they don't know how to answer the phone, and
Yeah.
they're like turning off clients. So what are some of your thoughts about us older generations providing some examples, mentoring, training for the younger generations, just with some of those communication tips?
Yeah, yeah. So this goes back to being curious and not critical.
Mm,
Being curious about what this employee wants. What are they motivated by? Why aren't they picking up the phone? Why are they so afraid to talk to people? So, what I hear from you, Jason, is everybody's being critical, pointing fingers. These people don't do this. Well, have you gone to them and asked why? Have you gone to them and said, hey, I see a lot of promise in you? Again, clear is kind, but here's what I'm going to need. I see a lot of promise in you, but our numbers need to get up. I see a lot of promise in you. I'm going to mentor you for the next few months. I think you have to identify somebody, not worry about the rest, but identify people and start really caring, pouring back into
mm.
them. But what happens is here's another, living the American dream. We're in a hustle culture. We don't want to take time to mentor people. We don't want to take time to say, "Hey, look up. Stop looking down. Look up.
Yep.
Connect." Connect with your employees. There's this incredible assessment that I was recently, probably about a year or so ago, certified in, which is the purpose assessment. And this assessment is the first of its kind, and it really helps not only employees understand what motivates them, but also leaders. It helps understand what's motivating their employees.
Mm,
And you hear purpose is a big hype word right now. But let's go back into what purpose really is. It's conviction.
mm,
So if your people are not doing the things that you're like, why are they not doing it? Well, because they're not convicted to doing it. Why are they not convicted? Well, because they have no purpose behind it.
mm.
Well, how can we get purpose behind it? Well, we need to put something tangible in front of them. So the purpose assessment has been something that I've been using a lot with our different consulting clients and coaching clients because they're like, I don't know what to do. And so this gives them a roadmap.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. As we kind of wrap the conversation up, I could ask you another, goodness gracious, 15 questions. I mean, this is awesome. For our listeners, is there a leadership mindset shift that maybe you could leave us with that just, changes everything, that, they walk away with today and they're just like, okay, this is one of the shifts I need to make. This will help, point me in a new direction, amplify it.
Yeah. I'm like, what can I say that I haven't already said?
Yeah, I know I guess this is the cherry on the top.
I think don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to find what's truly meaningful to you. Don't be afraid to make some changes within yourself. Once you've unlocked this truly authentic side of yourself, untangled the childhood trauma, the expectations, the do I even want to be in this position? Do I even want to be doing what I'm doing? When you start having those really hard questions with yourself,
Mm.
it will change your life because you'll start to align yourself with the things that do bring you joy, that do feel good. And the number one thing that I get told is, well, I can't make money and be joyful.
Mm.
And that's a lie.
Yeah.
It is an absolute lie. And so to that, I say, we are, as humans, we are riddled with fear.
Mm.
And the number one fear that I see in people time and time again is the fear of rejection, which comes from what? Childhood trauma.
Wow.
So when you can identify that and say, why am I afraid of change? Because I don't want to feel rejected. Because go deeper, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. And then realize I'm in control. Fear
Yep.
is not in control. And start making those changes that you need to make so that you can actually live a life that you enjoy,
Wow.
so that you can impact others. Because the energy that you're creating, the negativity that you're bringing into the room, into the boardroom, into the bedroom, that negative, stressful energy, it spews out and it affects people more than you know. So just pause. Don't be afraid to make some really big internal changes because you can never, ever, ever have external excellence if you don't have inner excellence.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I love that. We talk all the time. If your internal world is in chaos, what comes out of your mouth is definitely
Oh, yeah.
going to be chaotic. So what?
And you
Oh,
have no idea. You have no idea until somebody calls you out on it
yep.
in
Yep.
the nicest
Absolutely.
way possible. But some of the hardest conversations I've received were some of the most life changing.
Mhm.
And honestly, because I took those and said, okay, and got curious about it, not critical, and said, okay, this person is trying to mold me into a better leader. And it's kind of like parenting advice. Like everyone tries to give you parenting advice, but you don't take all of it.
Yep.
You take the little pieces that align with you and the person that you want to become, because it's not about the person that you are right now, it's the person you want to become. And then you use those pieces of advice to go forward.
Wow. So powerful. So powerful. Well, before I let you go fully, we're building this online database for our listeners with lots of resources. And so let me ask you a couple rapid fire questions, some of your favorite resources. Is there a speaker that, oh, every time you hear them, you just, they fill your cup, they check the list, you just highly recommend them?
Yeah. So this is a speaker that's not too well known. She's a great speaker and coach of mine, and it's actually a husband and wife duo, and they are Gabrielle and Brian Bosche. Bosche. They have been studying purpose for the past 10 years. They are actually the creators of the purpose assessment. Definitely give them a follow. They are doing incredible things. They are bringing purpose, tangible purpose to the world, and it's following them and watching them. They always have these very vulnerable nuggets that they bring to the table. I've just loved watching them and working with them for the past few years.
I love it. And how about that? She is a former Speak with People podcast guest. So
Oh,
absolutely. And we'll definitely we'll put her link in the show notes as well. But
oh, that's great. I had no idea. That's really funny.
I love it. I know, I think it's great. That's the best. Uh is if you're a podcast listener, not everybody is, but if you are, is there a podcast that either guilty pleasure on the fun side, it could be true crime or gardening or whatever, or a development one that you just keep going back to and you just highly recommend. You've got to start listening to this podcast.
Yes. Okay. So, truth be told, I actually just started listening to this. So that's why I'm looking it up. I'm like, who are the names on it? But it's so good. Uh, and it's so obvious, but it's called Joy Lab.
Mm.
And it's the science of joy, which I in my keynotes like to talk a lot about. So I'm really I'm really more listening to it for market research because these are doctors and I am not. And I do not claim to be at all, but I do think that people need to know the tangible science behind joy, because if you just walk in looking like a Disney character saying like, we're going to talk about joy today, guys, you got to put a little bit of heat behind it and say, this is
Yep.
why.
Yep.
This is the science. And so when I stumbled upon this, I was like, yes, here's some of that meaty scholarly academia that I need for my own keynotes. So it is Henry Emmons, Emmons, and Amy, Aimee, Prasek. Both doctors, one MD, one PhD. Joy Lab podcast. It's been great so far. Highly recommend.
I love it. And is there a one book that every leader at some point you've got to read this book because it will literally change your leadership? What's that one book for you?
Okay. Yes. Again, I'm gonna make sure that I say this correctly. So it's actually a book that I'm reading right now. So I haven't finished it, but what I've experienced so far has been extremely innovative. It is by Salika Jawad,
Hmm.
and it's called The Book of Alchemy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Um, how you spell her name is Suleika, and Jawad is Jaouad. And so this is a creative practice for an inspired life. And
Oh wow.
the reason why I am recommending this book over any other book is because it's not, because I could say Gap in the Gain, 10x is easier than 2x, like all of these normal
Yep.
leadership books. But if I've learned anything in my career, and this is what I it is a daily practice for myself as well as something that I try to hammer into my clients' minds, is you have to pull yourself away.
Mm.
To be the best leader, you have to pull yourself out of the forest. You have to become the architect and not the firefighter. And so, the book of alchemy by Suleika Jawad, it is all about the act of journaling. Which pause, because I'm not telling you to like journal about your feelings unless you want to. She actually. She actually not challenges it, but she says, I don't like to be prompted to journal.
Mm.
Which, does anyone else feel that way? Have you ever been sitting in a conference room where they're like, all right, tell me what your 10-year plan is, and you just go blank? You're like, I don't know what my 10-year plan is, or tell me what your best leadership strategy is. I don't that is a form of journaling, people, in case you didn't realize. But my point is, she kind of goes a different direction, and she says sometimes people that are prompted to journal, to pour out what they have inside of them, they get stunted. And so she says, I'm going to give you other people's positioning and their creative thoughts and their inspired life components in the event that it may inspire you to create change within your
Mm.
own life. And so I found myself, as I'm reading this, I'm like, ooh, that's a great nugget. Ooh, that's a great nugget. Ooh, that's a great nugget. And so while I'm not, on the side journaling, I'm making notes throughout the book. And I'm finding myself creatively thinking in ways that I wasn't prior to having the permission to just stop being so perfect
Yeah.
about creatively thinking. And I think that, I don't think, I know that most leaders get into the position where they stop creatively thinking,
Mm.
and they stop because they don't have the space for it.
Yes.
They're literally robotic. They show
Yep.
up to work every day. They're probably pissed off because
Yep.
so and so not doing their job. And so whenever I come in and I'm like, you got to go take a vacation. You got to get out of here for just a couple days. Like, get out of the forest. They're like, I can't do that. You can, and you need to, and you
Yep,
should, because now you can come back with a creative mind and you can come in and do what needs to be done, whether it's that crucial conversation or it's dissolving an employee that doesn't need to be there anymore. Like, how much money are you losing by not pulling yourself away so that you can have more of an open mind and
absolutely.
creatively think more? So, again, not exactly a leadership book, but I think you can use it to tap into a side
Love it.
that you may not be used to exercising, especially in an older generation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This was phenomenal. I mean, we could talk another hour. I have another, 10, 15 questions. Especially we could do a whole other episode just on building a business because I would love to ask you a ton of questions about your business as well. But I can't thank you enough. The way that you just so freely share what you're learning, I know this is going to be a blessing for our listeners. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your generosity. Appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Jason, thank you so much. And if anybody, I think you're going to drop it in the show notes, but please reach out. My email is jen@thejoyfulstrategist.com. I'd love to have a conversation with y'all.
And we'll make sure we'll put your website, your LinkedIn page, all of your information in the Facebook group, in the show notes, and everywhere because you need to know all about what Jen is doing with her business. And again, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Sounds great, Jason. Thank you guys all for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Speak with People podcast. It means the world to us when you share this episode. Thanks for liking, subscribing, or following the podcast. That really does help the podcast get into more ears and into more leaders listening. Also, don't forget, we have 2 exciting resources for you. The first is go to Facebook and join the Speakers Group. This is a community designed for leaders who want to grow their communication skills. Also, go to speakwithpeople.com/skills library to access the Communication Skills Library. It is an online resource chock filled with resources that will inspire you and transform you and grow your communication skills. Thanks again for being a part of the listening community. We cannot wait for the next episode.